Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed by everything going on around you? Constant comparisons on social media, the never-ending pressure to meet expectations, those of your family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers online. The noise of the world is loud, and in trying to keep up with it, we often forget one very important thing: ourselves. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's not egotistical, it's necessary. In a world that constantly demands your attention, learning to redirect that focus inward can be the most powerful, transformative choice you ever make. Why this topic matters. We're living in the most connected time in history, yet many of us feel more disconnected than ever from our purpose, from our peace, and most importantly, from ourselves. Here's why focusing on yourself matters. Clarity. When you focus on yourself, you begin to understand what you truly want, not what the world wants for you. Strength. You build emotional, mental, and physical resilience because you're no longer running on empty, trying to please everyone else. Authenticity. You become more of who you were always meant to be. Less performing, more being. The truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't grow into your full potential while constantly measuring your worth by someone else's ruler. Focusing on yourself isn't about ignoring others. It's about putting yourself in the best position to be who you're meant to be, for yourself and others. The problem with constant external focus: most people don't realize how much of their life is dictated by external forces. Chasing careers based on prestige instead of passion. Buying things for image instead of need or joy. Altering their personalities to be accepted in social circles. Living timelines that match society's expectations instead of their own desires. We begin to lose ourselves bit by bit, day by day. But when we shift the spotlight inward, when we stop trying to meet the world's expectations and start listening to our own voice, that's when life begins to feel real again. Dispelling the myths. Before we go deeper, let's address some common myths about focusing on yourself. Myth 1, it's selfish. Reality, taking care of yourself means you're better equipped to care for others. You can't give what you don't have. Myth 2, it means you have to isolate yourself. Reality, focusing on yourself can enhance your relationships because you're showing up whole, clear, and grounded. Myth 3, you should already know who you are. Reality, self-discovery is a lifelong journey. It's never too late to start. We're conditioned to believe that self-sacrifice is the highest virtue. While generosity and compassion are beautiful traits, they should not come at the cost of self-neglect. Focusing on yourself is the foundation that allows you to serve others from a place of strength rather than depletion. What does it mean to focus on yourself? So what does it really mean to focus on yourself? It means prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, listening to your intuition and acting on what feels aligned, creating space to grow, learn, rest, and reflect, setting boundaries without guilt, investing in your personal development, learning who you are when you're not trying to be everything to everyone. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you care enough about your own life to live it on your terms. You stop performing and start living. Personal story, relatable anecdote. Imagine a young woman named Maya. Maya was always the helper, loved by everyone, relied upon by many. But deep down, she felt invisible to herself. She didn't remember the last time she did something just because she wanted to. She didn't even know what she wanted anymore. It wasn't until she hit a wall, burnout, exhaustion, and a panic attack in the middle of a grocery store that she realized something needed to change. She needed to reconnect with herself. That moment was painful, but it was also the beginning of a powerful journey, a journey back to her true self. We all have our grocery store moment, some dramatic, some quiet, but all important. That moment when we realize we've drifted too far from ourselves and it's time to come home. This script is a journey, a guide, a reflection. In the sections to come, we will explore 1. Understanding yourself deeply, uncovering who you really are beyond your roles and routines. 2. Letting go of comparison, freeing yourself from the burden of measuring up. 3. Setting boundaries and priorities, learning to protect your energy and time. 4. Personal growth and self-investment, cultivating the life and mindset you truly want. 5. Living authentically and fearlessly, embracing your truth unapologetically. This journey isn't about perfection. It's about presence, about choosing yourself every day in big and small ways, about realizing that when you focus on yourself, everything else becomes clearer. You are the foundation of your own life, and it's time to rebuild that foundation, stronger, wiser, and more whole than ever before. So, understanding yourself deeply. Before you can focus on yourself, you need to know who that self really is. Not the image you project to the world, not the expectations others have of you, and certainly not the version of you shaped by fear or comparison. I'm talking about the real you, the one beneath the noise, beneath the roles, beneath the masks. And here's the truth. Most people go through life knowing everything about everyone else except themselves. Understanding yourself deeply is the foundation of every meaningful change, every genuine relationship, and every success that's aligned with your true self. Without it, you're operating on autopilot, reacting instead of responding, surviving instead of thriving. So let's go deep. Let's uncover you. 1. The layers of the self. Think of yourself as a house with many rooms. Some are well lit, furnished, and familiar. Others are dark, closed off, and rarely entered. Understanding yourself is about walking through that house, room by room, with honesty and curiosity. You are not just your job title, your relationship status, or your social media profile. You are your thoughts, your fears, your values, your desires, your habits, your trauma, your dreams. All of it. To understand yourself, you need to peel back the layers. The outer layer. This is the version of you that the world sees. How you dress, speak, and act in public. The middle layer. This is where your beliefs and values live. What you stand for, what you tolerate, and what drives your decisions. The inner layer. This is your emotional core. Your wounds, your instincts, your longings, the parts you often keep hidden even from yourself. This is not a journey you complete in a weekend. It's an ongoing relationship, but the deeper you go, the more powerful your focus becomes. 2. The power of self-inquiry. One of the most effective tools in understanding yourself is self-inquiry. Asking yourself powerful, uncomfortable questions and sitting with the answers. Try asking yourself, what do I truly want right now? What am I afraid of? When do I feel most like myself? What patterns keep repeating in my life? What am I avoiding? Whose approval am I still seeking? Don't rush these questions. Journal them. Meditate on them. Speak them out loud. The goal is not to get the right answer, but the real one. And yes, the real answers may be messy, confusing, or even painful, but they're yours. And owning them is the beginning of real self-focus. Listening to your inner voice. Every one of us has an inner voice, a quiet, intuitive guide that knows the truth about us. But most of the time, it gets drowned out by the noise of the world. That voice says, this job doesn't fulfill me, or this relationship is draining me, or I need to rest, but we ignore it. We override it with logic, obligation, or fear. To focus on yourself, you have to make space to hear that voice again. Spend time in silence. Walk without your phone. Sit with your thoughts. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. Your body often knows what your mind is trying to avoid. And when that voice speaks, listen. Trust it. It's not always loud, but it's always wise. 4. Knowing your values. Your values are your internal compass. When you live in alignment with them, life feels meaningful and centered. When you ignore them, you feel lost, even if things look successful on the outside. Take time to define your values. Not the ones you think you should have, but the ones that truly matter to you. Do you value freedom, honesty, creativity, growth, compassion, discipline? Once you know your values, ask yourself, is my life a reflection of them? If you value growth, but your daily routine is stagnant, something's off. If you value peace, but surround yourself with chaos, it's time to realign. Understanding your values helps you focus on yourself in a way that's not selfish, but essential. 5. Embracing your shadow. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The shadow is the part of you that you don't want to face. Your jealousy, your anger, your insecurity, your guilt. But it's still you. And until you acknowledge it, it will control you from the background. Embracing your shadow doesn't mean indulging it. It means understanding where it comes from. Why do you react so strongly to certain people or situations? What wounds haven't healed? When you face your shadow, you reclaim your power. You become whole. Not perfect, but real. And that's when true self-focus becomes possible, because you're no longer wasting energy hiding from yourself. 6. Differentiating between your voice and others. From childhood, we're taught what to believe, how to behave, and who to become. Parents, teachers, religion, media, all shaping our identity. But part of understanding yourself is sorting through all those voices and asking, which ones are actually mine? Do you really want that career? Or were you told it was practical? Do you genuinely enjoy that lifestyle? Or is it just what everyone else is doing? Are your goals truly yours? Or are they inherited? This process takes courage. It may mean disappointing others or walking a different path, but focusing on yourself means choosing authenticity over approval. 7. Making peace with your past. You cannot deeply understand yourself without looking at your past. Not to live there, but to learn from it. Your childhood, your formative experiences, your heartbreaks and failures, they all shaped you. Understanding them allows you to stop being controlled by them. Ask yourself, what patterns did I inherit from my family? What experiences taught me to hide, to shrink, or to please? Where have I been hurt, and what did I learn from it? When you make peace with your past, you free up energy to be present, to write a new story, to focus on who you are becoming, not just who you've been. 8. Accepting who you are now. So many people delay self-love and self-acceptance until they become some better version of themselves. But here's the truth. You cannot grow from a place of rejection. Real growth starts with acceptance. You don't have to love everything about yourself right now, but you can learn to say, this is where I am, this is who I am, and that's okay. From there, any change you make will come from compassion, not shame. And when you accept yourself fully, focusing on yourself becomes natural. It's no longer a battle. It's a commitment to your own well-being. Understanding yourself deeply is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without it, you're chasing goals that don't satisfy, building relationships that don't nourish, and living a life that doesn't reflect who you really are. But with it, you become unshakable, grounded, clear. You stop chasing validation and start living from truth. So take the time, ask the questions, face the discomfort, make peace with your past, and meet yourself fully, honestly, lovingly. Because the most powerful thing you can do in this world is to know yourself. Section 3, the power of personal growth. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you've spent most of your life living for other people, seeking their approval, chasing their dreams, and measuring your worth by their standards. Now imagine what could happen if you turned that same energy inward. That's the essence of focusing on yourself, unlocking your own potential through intentional personal growth. What is personal growth really? Personal growth is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you truly are. It involves developing your mind, improving your habits, healing emotionally, and stepping closer to your authentic self. When you focus on yourself, growth becomes inevitable because you begin investing time and energy into what truly matters: your thoughts, your feelings, your goals, and your truth. This isn't selfish. It's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you certainly can't contribute meaningfully to the world if you're disconnected from yourself. And too. The connection between focus and growth. When you stop scattering your attention across everyone else's needs, your energy consolidates. That focused energy becomes a powerful tool for transformation. The distractions fade and clarity arises. You begin to notice the habits holding you back, the people draining your energy, and the goals that no longer serve you. Growth isn't random. It's a result of intentional focus. The more you center your attention on your inner world, the more you'll see your external world begin to shift. Self-awareness as the foundation. You can't grow what you don't understand. Self-awareness is the mirror that reflects your inner landscape. It shows you your patterns, beliefs, fears, strengths, and blind spots. Focusing on yourself means making self-awareness a daily practice. Ask yourself questions like, what am I feeling right now and why? Are my actions aligned with my values? What do I need more of and less of in my life? Self-awareness doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but discomfort is a sign that growth is taking place. Mindset shifts that accelerate growth. The way you think determines the way you live. If you believe you're stuck, you'll stay stuck. If you believe you're capable of change, you'll seek change. When you focus on yourself, you begin to challenge the stories you've inherited from others. Stories about your limitations, worth, and destiny. And in their place, you can build new beliefs. I am responsible for my own happiness. I can improve every day, even in small ways. I don't need external validation to feel worthy. These aren't just affirmations. They are seeds. And when planted in a focused mind, they grow into powerful transformations. Healing as a form of growth. To truly grow, you must also heal. There are wounds, old and new, that can keep you stuck in the past. Sometimes the most profound growth comes not from adding something new, but from releasing something old. A grudge, a fear, a shameful memory, or a toxic pattern. Focusing on yourself gives you space to process and release emotional pain. Whether through journaling, therapy, meditation, or deep conversation, healing requires your presence. Growth isn't linear. There are setbacks, regressions, and emotional detours. But every step, even the painful ones, moves you forward when you commit to your inner journey. Setting personal growth goals. Personal growth becomes tangible when you turn intention into action. Set goals that are rooted in your values and focused on your development. Examples include: read one book a month on a topic that inspires you. Journal daily to track your emotional growth. Learn a new skill or hobby. Practice gratitude and mindfulness regularly. Unlike external achievements, these goals serve your inner world. They build confidence, clarity, and resilience. Letting go of comparison. Comparison is the enemy of personal growth. When you focus on others' timelines, accomplishments, and lifestyles, you derail your own journey. Focusing on yourself means accepting your unique path. It's okay if you're not where someone else is. Your story, your pace, and your purpose are yours alone. The more you honor your individuality, the more empowered you'll feel to grow without judgment. The role of daily habits in growth. Small things done consistently create big results. That's the secret to growth. It's not about dramatic overnight change. It's about daily, deliberate action. When you focus on yourself, you begin to build habits that support your growth, such as morning routines that center your mind, regular exercise that honors your body, mindful eating that nourishes you, reflection time to assess your progress. These habits aren't just actions, they're commitments. They signal to your subconscious that you matter. Surrounding yourself with growth-oriented energy, your environment can either fuel or frustrate your growth. Focused people tend to attract or seek out other focused people. Be intentional about the energy around you. Seek conversations that challenge you, relationships that uplift you, content that educates and inspires you. Let go of constant negativity, gossip and drama, people who benefit from your stagnation. When you create a high vibration environment, growth becomes the default, not the exception. Sure. 10, self-compassion as you grow. Growth is hard. You'll fail, you'll doubt yourself, you'll fall back into old habits. That's why self-compassion is essential. Talk to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. Remind yourself, progress is more important than perfection. Every effort counts. Setbacks are lessons, not verdicts. The journey of personal growth is not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming fully, unapologetically you. Conclusion. The reward of inner work. When you focus on yourself and commit to growth, you begin to feel different, more grounded, more alive. You're no longer chasing external markers of success. You're creating a life that feels meaningful from the inside out. This is what true freedom looks like. Not the absence of responsibility, but the presence of self-mastery. The ability to know yourself, heal yourself, and grow into your highest potential. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You already have everything you need within you. Start focusing on yourself and watch your life transform, one powerful step at a time. Section 4, overcoming distractions and comparisons. In today's hyperconnected world, distractions aren't just occasional, they're constant. Notifications buzz, opinions flood our screens, and the highlights of others' lives parade before us daily. One of the most difficult yet transformative parts of focusing on yourself is learning to rise above these external noises, especially the relentless comparisons and distractions that chip away at our inner peace. The comparison trap. Perhaps one of the greatest enemies of self-focus is comparison. It's been said that comparison is the thief of joy, and nowhere is that more evident than in our day-to-day lives. With every scroll on social media, we're offered a curated glimpse into someone else's best moments, their achievements, vacations, relationships, physical appearance. Rarely do we see the messy, challenging, or mundane aspects of their lives. Yet, our minds, hardwired for patterns and evaluation, automatically stack our real lives against others' highlight reels. We start questioning ourselves. Why am I not as successful? Why don't I look like that? Why am I behind? What begins as a passive observation can quickly become a destructive spiral of self-doubt, envy, and inaction. But here's the truth. Comparison distracts you from your own progress. When your eyes are fixed on someone else's path, you risk stumbling on your own. You miss the milestones you've already achieved, the growth you've already made, and the goals that are uniquely yours. Focusing on yourself requires a radical shift, a commitment to see your life as your own race, not a replica of someone else's. Distractions in the digital age. Technology has revolutionized our lives, but it has also revolutionized our distractions. Smartphones are powerful tools, but they also double as portals of procrastination. Every ping, every scroll, every update takes a small toll on our mental energy and focus. These distractions might seem harmless, even enjoyable, but they come at a cost. Every time you interrupt your flow, whether you're working on a project, journaling, reflecting, or resting, you're teaching your brain to expect constant novelty. Over time, this makes it harder to sustain attention on anything meaningful, including your personal goals and inner development. To truly focus on yourself, you must become a steward of your attention. This means intentionally creating boundaries around your digital consumption. Turn off non-essential notifications. Set specific times to check social media or emails. Practice digital detoxes, even short ones, to reset your mental space. Replace screen time with activities that center you, reading, meditating, walking, or simply being present in your environment. Remember, your attention is your currency. Where you spend it defines what grows in your life. Internal versus external validation. Another subtle but powerful distraction is the pursuit of external validation. It feels good to be praised, to be acknowledged, to receive approval. But when your self-worth becomes tied to the reactions of others, you lose the ability to govern your own emotional well-being. This is not to say recognition is bad. Rather, it's about recognizing why you seek it. Are you chasing likes and compliments because you truly value the work you've done, or because you need reassurance that you're enough? Focusing on yourself means learning to find validation from within through your own values, effort, and progress. It means celebrating your wins even if no one else sees them. It means continuing to grow even when no one is clapping. You can begin this shift by asking yourself a powerful question. If no one knew I was doing this, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, you're likely aligned with your true self. Cultivating inner silence. In a world filled with noise, creating moments of inner silence is both radical and necessary. Silence doesn't just mean turning off your devices. It means quieting the internal chatter that's been conditioned by the world around you. Meditation, journaling, and mindfulness practices can help you tune in to your own thoughts and feelings, free from outside influence. When you regularly sit with yourself, no distractions, no comparisons, no expectations, you begin to understand your own rhythms, desires, and boundaries. You'll discover what energizes you and what drains you, what you're doing for yourself versus what you're doing out of obligation or performance. These quiet revelations are essential in the journey of self-focus. Resisting the pressure to perform. Society often rewards visibility, being seen as successful, attractive, productive. But focusing on yourself sometimes means doing work in the shadows. Growth often happens away from the spotlight, in quiet choices, behind-the-scenes discipline, and internal breakthroughs that no one else sees. There may be seasons where your work goes unnoticed, where you're healing privately, where your life doesn't look impressive to others, but it's deeply aligned to your truth. In those moments, resist the urge to perform. Stay rooted in your why, because when you perform for the world, you risk losing your authentic self. But when you show up for yourself, consistently and honestly, the results, though perhaps slower and quieter, are deeply sustainable. Creating a bubble of self-focus. To thrive in your own lane, sometimes you need to create a mental bubble, a safe, intentional space where you prioritize your peace over popularity, your purpose over performance, and your growth over gossip. This might mean saying no more often to things that don't align, limiting conversations that drain or distract you, choosing environments that support your evolution, repeating mantras that ground you in your own journey. Something as simple as, "I'm on my own path," can be a reminder. When you create this bubble, not out of isolation, but out of intention, you shield your energy and reinforce your focus. Summary: the power of selective focus. The world will always offer you reasons to look outward, to compare, to chase, to distract yourself from the real work within. But every time you choose to turn inward, to listen to your own voice, and to protect your focus, you reclaim your power. Overcoming external distractions and comparisons isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. Some days you'll feel pulled toward validation, others you'll get caught in the scroll. That's okay. What matters is your return, the gentle, consistent return to yourself. Because when you build the habit of coming back to your center, no noise can shake you for long. That is the essence of true focus. That is the foundation of real self-growth. Section 5, sustaining the journey of self-focus and growth. Focusing on yourself is not a one-time event or a short-term project. It's a lifelong journey, one filled with evolving needs, shifting environments, and deepening self-awareness. Sustaining that journey requires more than initial motivation or fleeting inspiration. It demands consistency, intentionality, and resilience. 1. Embracing the long-term mindset. The first step to sustaining self-focus is to embrace the idea that personal growth is a marathon, not a sprint. Many people begin this journey with great enthusiasm, but falter when progress doesn't happen as quickly as expected. We must let go of the belief that transformation will be instant or linear. Growth often comes in cycles, with periods of rapid development, plateaus, and even regressions. Understand that your evolution is a life's work. Some lessons won't be fully learned in a week or even in a year. By approaching self-focus with patience, you allow yourself the grace to stumble, recalibrate, and continue without shame or discouragement. Creating a system of daily check-ins. Consistency is the backbone of self-growth. One powerful strategy to maintain focus is integrating daily check-ins with yourself. These don't have to be elaborate or time-consuming. A few minutes each day dedicated to reflection can reinforce your direction. Ask yourself, what did I do today that aligned with my goals? Did I act in alignment with my values? Where did I feel most present or disconnected? What am I grateful for today? These simple questions not only build awareness, but also act as a compass, ensuring you're not drifting unconsciously from your path. Over time, these micro-assessments accumulate into macro transformations. 3. Building habits that support inner growth. Habits shape our lives far more than we realize. While motivation can get you started, habits are what sustain progress. To stay focused on yourself, construct habits that continually nourish your well-being and growth. This includes mindfulness practices like meditation or journaling, physical self-care, movement, rest, hydration, digital boundaries, limiting distractions like social media, creative outlets, art, music, expression, learning rituals, reading, listening, exploring. The key is not perfection, but sustainability. Choose routines that are realistic for your life and adapt them as needed. Your self-focus should evolve with you, protecting your energy and environment. Sustaining self-focus also means becoming discerning about where your energy goes. One of the most powerful decisions you can make is to be selective about your environments, physical, digital, and emotional. This could mean letting go of relationships that no longer serve your growth, reducing consumption of negative or fear-based media, creating physical spaces that reflect peace and inspiration, curating your online experience to include voices and content that uplift. Protecting your space is not selfish, it's essential. Growth thrives in environments of safety, inspiration, and clarity. Don't be afraid to edit your world to support your goals, tracking progress and celebrating wins. In a long journey, it's easy to overlook how far you've come. That's why it's vital to document and celebrate your progress. Tracking your growth doesn't only provide motivation, it validates your effort and reinforces your sense of purpose. You can track your growth by keeping a journal or digital log, setting quarterly or yearly reflections, creating vision boards that evolve, using voice notes or videos to track mindset shifts. And when you hit milestones, big or small, pause to celebrate. Give yourself credit. Acknowledging success boosts confidence and motivates you to keep going. Learning to recommit, not quit. Every journey has its challenges. There will be days when your focus slips, when your energy is low, or when old habits resurface. This is not failure. It's part of the process. The difference between those who grow and those who stagnate is not perfection. It's recommitment. When you stumble, return to your center. Ask, what caused me to drift? What needs support right now? How can I begin again, even just for today? Recommitting isn't starting over. It's strengthening your resolve. Each time you recommit, you teach yourself resilience and deepen your discipline. Embracing flexibility and adaptability. Sustaining focus on yourself also means being open to change. As you evolve, so will your needs, goals, and priorities. What once served you may no longer fit. Rigidity can hinder growth, while flexibility allows for organic transformation. For example, your morning routine may shift with seasons or life stages. A goal you once chased might no longer feel aligned. A self-care practice may need to be replaced with a new one. The key is to stay tuned in. Let your self-focus be responsive, not rigid. The ability to adapt without losing your center is one of the most powerful traits you can cultivate. Surrounding yourself with growth-oriented community. While focusing on yourself is a personal journey, it doesn't have to be a lonely one. A supportive community can be an anchor during turbulent times. Look for people who are also invested in self-awareness and growth. These are the relationships that will nourish you. Ways to find or build such a community include joining groups centered around wellness, creativity, or goals, attending workshops, retreats, or classes, engaging in meaningful conversations, even with online peers, creating accountability partnerships. A good community won't distract you from your path. It will enhance it. Seek those who celebrate your wins, challenge your limits, and hold space for your evolution. Revisiting and redefining your vision. Periodically, take time to revisit your vision for yourself. What does focusing on me look like now? How have my desires, values, or definitions of success changed? Growth is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to yourself, more whole and more clear each time. Let your vision be fluid, alive, and reflective of who you are now, not who you were a year ago. Asking reflective questions can help. What does fulfillment mean to me today? Who am I becoming? What do I want to feel more of in my daily life? When you redefine your vision, you renew your motivation and ensure your journey stays aligned with your truest self. Practicing radical self-compassion. Finally, the foundation of all sustained self-focus is compassion. You are human, not a machine. You will have off days. You will doubt, regress, forget, and sometimes give in to distractions. That doesn't make you a failure. It makes you real. Treat yourself the way you treat someone you deeply love, with encouragement, patience, and forgiveness. Let your self-focus be an act of love, not punishment. Let your growth be gentle, not forceful. Sustaining the journey isn't about perfection. It's about showing up again and again for yourself, no matter how messy the process. Sustaining self-focus and growth is a lifelong dance. It requires rhythm, reflection, and resilience. You won't always move forward in a straight line, but with commitment and care, you will keep moving. The journey is worth it because you are worth it. When you learn to stay connected to yourself over the long haul, life doesn't just get more productive, it becomes more meaningful. Section 6. Embracing change and letting go. Focusing on yourself is not only about building, it's also about releasing. As much as growth is about acquiring new habits, setting goals, and becoming stronger, it is equally about shedding old skins, releasing what no longer serves you, and adapting to life's inevitable shifts. Change is not just a chapter in the journey of self-focus. It is a recurring theme that you must learn to dance with. We often resist change because it unsettles the familiar. Our routines, our relationships, even our own self-image. These are things we grow attached to. They make us feel secure. But the truth is, real growth never happens in complete comfort. Focusing on yourself requires the courage to face transitions with open eyes, an open mind, and most importantly, an open heart. Let's explore what it really means to embrace change and why letting go is one of the most powerful things you can do for your personal growth. The necessity of change and self-focus. Nothing around you stays the same forever. Seasons shift. People evolve, circumstances transform, yet many of us build our lives around the illusion of permanence. We invest in static identities, define ourselves by roles or jobs or relationships, and then panic when change inevitably knocks on the door. But focusing on yourself is not about clutching tightly to who you used to be. It's about staying deeply attuned to who you are becoming. To do that, you must create for change. Embracing change means stepping into a space of curiosity rather than fear. It means asking, what is this shift trying to teach me, rather than lamenting what is slipping away? Your personal growth depends on your ability to adapt, not react impulsively, but to pause, observe, and respond in alignment with your values. Change is not a threat when you see yourself as the constant, the ever-growing core that moves through life, not controlled by circumstances, but evolving through them. Letting go of what no longer serves you. There comes a moment in every person's journey where holding on becomes heavier than moving forward. Old friendships, outdated dreams, limiting beliefs, toxic habits, they can all weigh you down. Part of focusing on yourself is developing the discernment to recognize what must be released. Letting go is not an act of failure or giving up. It's an act of wisdom. It's saying, this version of my life was valuable, but it no longer aligns with who I am. Here are some areas where letting go might be necessary. Old identities. Sometimes you've outgrown the version of yourself you once clung to. Maybe you were the people pleaser, the quiet one, the high achiever at the cost of your own peace. Let go of labels that limit your potential. Toxic relationships. Not everyone you started with will go where you're going. Letting go of draining relationships isn't selfish. It's self-respect. You can love people and still choose to protect your peace. Past mistakes and guilt. Your past doesn't define you. Learn from it, yes. Carry its lessons, yes. But you do not have to carry the weight of shame forever. Growth comes when you release self-judgment and give yourself permission to begin again. Unrealistic expectations. Let go of perfection. Let go of timelines. Let go of the pressure to have everything figured out. Focus on consistent effort, not constant control. Letting go can feel like loss, but it is also liberation. In the absence of what you've released, there is space for something new, something better aligned with your current path. Practices for embracing change gracefully. 1. Practice mindful awareness. The more aware you are of your internal world, your thoughts, emotions, and reactions, the more conscious your response to change will be. Instead of reacting with fear, you'll begin to notice, understand, and flow with it. 2. Write it out. Journaling is a powerful way to process transitions. Write about what you're releasing. Name it. Honor it. Then imagine yourself stepping forward into a new space. Unburdened. 3. Create rituals of release. You don't need a dramatic moment to let go. Sometimes a symbolic act helps, writing a goodbye letter to an old habit, deleting something that no longer serves you, or even taking a walk to physically move through an emotional release. 4. Speak kindly to yourself. Change is rarely smooth. You may feel uncertain or even scared. Treat yourself with grace. Speak to yourself like someone you love deeply. Remind yourself that discomfort is temporary, but growth is lasting. 5. Surround yourself with supportive voices. You don't need to walk through change alone. Find mentors, communities, or even just friends who understand your journey and encourage your evolution. From resistance to surrender, there is a difference between giving up and surrendering. Giving up is rooted in defeat. Surrender is rooted in trust. When you surrender to the process of change, you are saying, I trust that where I'm going is aligned with who I am becoming. The resistance to change often comes from fear. Fear of uncertainty, of loss, of pain. But focusing on yourself means learning to sit with that fear, breathe through it, and walk forward anyway. Think of the butterfly. Its transformation requires the complete breakdown of the caterpillar. Change for it is not optional. It is the pathway to flight. So too, must you trust that the uncomfortable cocoon moments in your life are preparing you for something greater. Transformation is messy, but it is also beautiful. Change is your ally, not your enemy. When you truly focus on yourself, you realize that clinging to the past doesn't protect you. It holds you back. Embracing change and letting go are not side notes in the journey of self-growth. They are the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. You are allowed to grow beyond your history. You are allowed to let go of what doesn't belong in your future. And you are allowed to change your mind, shift directions, and evolve in ways that others may not understand, as long as it's aligned with your truth. The more you learn to move with life rather than against it, the more grounded and free you become. And in that freedom, you'll find the deepest kind of self-focus refocus, the kind that doesn't just look inward, but also moves forward, boldly and with intention. Section 7, reclaiming your power, detaching from external validation. In a world obsessed with likes, comments, followers, and external praise, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters, you. We've been conditioned to seek validation outside of ourselves, to look for approval before we move forward, and to doubt our worth unless it's affirmed by someone else. But here's a truth that will liberate you. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone else's inability to see it. This section is about taking back your power by detaching from the need for external validation and focusing on your own truth. 1. Understanding the trap of external validation. Let's start by being honest. We all want to feel seen, appreciated, and understood. That's human. But when your sense of identity and self-worth hinges on whether or not people approve of your choices, your look, your career, or your lifestyle, you're handing over the remote control of your life. Think about it. How many decisions have you made based on what others might think? You didn't post that photo because you feared judgment. You didn't pursue that dream because someone laughed at it. You stayed in a relationship or a job because leaving might look bad. When external opinions shape your internal reality, you're no longer living for yourself, you're performing for the crowd. And that's exhausting. 2. The cost of living for approval. Every time you place more value on what others think than on what you feel, you chip away at your authenticity. The more you conform, the more you dilute your individuality. The irony is, the more you try to be liked, the more disconnected you become from who you really are. Here's what that costs you. Creativity. You suppress your ideas, fearing they won't be accepted. Confidence. You second-guess yourself constantly. Freedom. You live in fear of judgment, limiting your choices. Peace. You become anxious, trying to control how you're perceived. But the biggest cost? You forget how to trust yourself. 3. Shifting the focus from external eyes to internal compass. Detaching from external validation doesn't mean you become careless or arrogant. It means you begin to trust your inner compass more than the noise around you. Here's how to shift your focus. 1. Practice self-validation. Start by affirming yourself. When you do something brave, kind, or meaningful, acknowledge it. Don't wait for others to recognize your value. Say it to yourself. I'm proud of how I handled that. I showed up today, even when it was hard. I'm learning and growing. 2. Get clear on your values. When you know what matters most to you, decisions become easier. If freedom, growth, and integrity are your values, then chasing approval that compromises those values won't feel right. And that's your sign to step back. Ashnar. 3. Audit your influences. Look at who you follow, who you listen to, and who you're trying to impress. Are they lifting you up or making you doubt yourself? Surround yourself with people who celebrate your authenticity, not those who demand you to shrink. 4. Facing the fear of disapproval. One of the hardest parts of focusing on yourself is accepting that not everyone will approve. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to understand your path. Some people are stuck in their own fears and they'll project them onto you. But their limitations aren't your burden. You have to make peace with being misunderstood. Let people form their opinions. Let them say what they will. Your job is not to be universally accepted. Your job is to be deeply aligned. The reward: inner freedom. When you stop chasing approval, you start chasing truth. You stop performing and start expressing. You stop shrinking and start expanding. And here's what you gain: clarity. You're no longer clouded by others' expectations. Courage. You act in alignment with your soul, not social norms. Resilience. You bounce back quicker because your worth isn't fragile. Joy. You start enjoying it on your own terms. That's real freedom. That's real power. That's what happens when you focus on yourself. Ask yourself right now, what would I do if I didn't care what anyone thought? What parts of me have I been hiding? What does focusing on myself truly look like in this moment? The answers to these questions aren't just thoughts. They're permission slips. Permission to be bold, to be messy, to be real, and most importantly, to be you. Reclaim your power, reclaim your voice, reclaim your life. Section 8 Summary. Embracing the journey of self-focus. As we come to the close of this exploration, it's essential to reflect on the journey we've taken, one centered not on perfection or external validation, but on the power and necessity of focusing on yourself. Each section of this script has unraveled a different layer of what it means to live intentionally, to build self-awareness, and to thrive from the inside out. We began by understanding why focusing on yourself is not selfish, but essential. In a world that constantly pulls us in countless directions through expectations, comparisons, and distractions, the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the decision to return inward. Focusing on yourself is the foundation for living a purposeful life, one where decisions are guided by clarity, values, and alignment rather than noise. From there, we unpack the importance of self-awareness, knowing your beliefs, patterns, and needs. We explored how self-reflection and mindfulness are not abstract concepts, but practical tools that help us understand our emotional landscape and build resilience. When you're deeply aware of who you are, you become better equipped to respond rather than react, to grow rather than stagnate. We examined how boundaries, emotional, mental, and even digital, are acts of self-respect. Saying no isn't rejection, it's redirection. Boundaries help protect your energy and preserve your sense of self in environments that may otherwise pull you off course. By honoring your limits, you also give others permission to do the same. We delved into the practice of self-care. He's not as luxury, but as necessity. It goes beyond spa days and wellness trends. Real self-care is often inconvenient. It's saying no to toxic habits, getting enough rest, eating nourishing foods, exercising, and creating mental space. It's doing what your future self will thank you for. In focusing on yourself, we also address the powerful force of comparison. In the digital age, it's easy to feel behind or not enough, but comparison is the thief of authenticity. You are not in a race with anyone else. Your path is uniquely yours. When you embrace that truth, you begin to measure progress not by others' timelines, but by your own growth and joy. The importance of being your own biggest supporter cannot be overstated. Self-talk matters. Your inner dialogue sets the tone for your external life. Encouraging yourself, forgiving your mistakes, and celebrating your wins, even the small ones, builds self-trust. And with that self-trust comes confidence and courage. We also looked at how self-focus leads to healthier relationships. When you know your needs and communicate them clearly, you attract people who respect your space and value your presence. You become less reactive, more empathetic, and more rooted in truth. The paradox is that focusing on yourself actually helps you connect more deeply with others, not less. And finally, we discussed how to sustain this journey by embracing change, practicing gratitude, continuing to learn, and accepting that progress is not linear. Growth isn't about constantly climbing higher. It's about staying committed to your own evolution, even when the path is messy or unclear. So where does that leave us? Focusing on yourself is not a destination, but a daily practice. It's in the choices you make, the thoughts you nurture, and the boundaries you set. It's in how you speak to yourself, how you treat your body, and how you guard your time. It's in the way you protect your peace and pursue your passions, even when no one is watching. This script has not been a roadmap with a final stop. It's a reminder that your journey matters. You matter. And everything you need to build a fulfilling life already exists within you. So stay centered, stay grounded, keep showing up for yourself, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because the more you focus on yourself, the more the world benefits from the best version of you.